there's a couple of things that really took place last year that I think are worth sharing. Okay. And so the first is I did an analysis, if you will, on what are the five things that worked really good for me last year and what are the five things that didn't work so well for me. And I'm not going to get into all the details in terms of what worked really well and what didn't work as well, but I will say this, like the things that worked really well were number one, I had a couple of two really good partnerships that have been amazing, right? And I'm talking about business, okay? That's the first thing. Number two is actually, you know what? I'm not that I lied in the sense that I don't have notes, but I did share this with my coaching program or the people that were in the coaching. Okay, so anyways, I just kind of pulled up some of the things that I jotted down for that. So one was the two new partnerships. Number two is becoming a partner in Calamar Construction. And number three is developing townhomes. Okay, so those were the three really positive things that kind of came out of 2022. Now, some of the things that didn't work so well, I'll share two of them. Number one is retail projects. Okay, so retail developments, a lot of effort and energy, and they really didn't yield the returns that I would have expected. Okay, so certainly going to be changing that into 2023. And the other big one was coaching. Unfortunately, what I realized was the amount of energy and effort that was being put into it was really not delivering what I wanted out of it, right? And the people that I coached, I think that they appreciated it because I got some really nice feedback after. And frankly, the results are when your clients actually buy properties or raise capital for the first time, you know that it's working. The challenge is it's really hard to scale. And the other challenge that I found is that I was being pulled in too many different directions in the sense that I was, sometimes focused on them, sometimes focused on my developments. And when you have, 4 or 5 projects on the go, I just realized that I wanted to double down on the things that I'm doing. And so next year it's to develop another 100 townhomes. And I had to make some tough decisions in terms of what had to kind of come out, right? What did I have to cut off? And coaching was one of those. Okay, so those are kind of the things of in terms of like what worked, what didn't work, and then based on that, I then went to the next step, which was like what are the changes going into 2023? And I mean, I've already kind of alluded to the first one, which is no more coaching. And the second one is just really doubling down on building more townhomes and staying away from other projects that sound very interesting that could make money. But unfortunately, what I've realized is that every time you get into a new development or project or investment, it takes a lot of effort and energy to learn it. And so I'd rather spend my energy focused on becoming like the best townhouse developer and builder, because that's what we're building for a lot of our clients in the construction company. And then we're also doing it in the development of our own developments. Versus, okay, now let's do a retail, let's do a light industrial, let's do, mobile homes or what have you, self-storage. And I see these opportunities and I know that they can all make money. It's just that what doesn't come along with the sales pitch is, okay, now you're going to have to learn new skill sets. There's going to be different people involved, different types of financing, different type of investors. And anyway, so I'm doing what I call a test in 2023, and the tests are testing and trying new things, and really, kind of doing some analysis and saying, okay, like what worked, what didn't work, what gave me energy, what took energy away, and then based on this analysis, how am I going to go into 2023? And so I'll tell you kind of a couple of tests, if you will, that I want to try, and we'll see, right? Like, I mean, the whole theory behind a test is that you don't know if it's going to work, right? You have a thesis and you're going to test it, and then based on the outcome, you can readjust, right? And so obviously coaching is like a test. I'm taking time away from that because I want to see, does my life get better or does it get worse, right? Because I really did enjoy helping. Now, you'll see if you go to my website that I still do advisory, but that is very different than coaching. Advisory is like someone has a property, they have a project, they come to me and say, Shane, I need your help on this very specific, either it's capital raising or I have a property. Coaching is more like taking someone from point A to point B, whereas advisory is like you have something and you just need someone's that has kind of been there and done that, and you're looking for them like a lawyer or a mortgage broker or someone else to that effect that really just becomes part of your team. So anyways, I don't want to get off topic. So here are some of the tests that I'm running next year. I'm going to make a real conscious effort of focusing on one major business and one personal goal. And I'll tell you the personal goal, and that is to do an Olympic distance triathlon. I've already signed up for it. My brother, appreciate Mark calling me out on that. And he just said like, hey, here it is, get registered. And so the two of us did that, and we are scheduled to do that race in, I think it's the beginning of June, 2023. Okay. Next one is more time with family and actually planning and scheduling it. So I bought this calendar, kind of inspired by Jesse Itzler, who has, I think he calls it his life resume. And it's like one whole year on one piece of paper. It's huge. Excuse me. And in that, you actually plug in your personal goals first, right? Like, when are you going to vacation? What are you going to do? Like, what are you doing on these specific days? And he kind of color codes it, and I haven't got it yet. I ordered it a week ago, and but I'm really looking forward to it. And then inside of that, there's like, I think he calls it his Misagi, which is essentially like, what is the one big thing that when you look back last year, you can say, I accomplished this, right? For me, 2022, I ran a marathon. It's something I'd been wanting to do for quite some time. I accomplished it. It was certainly much slower than I had anticipated. I learned a lot from it. And, but, I can look back and say, 2022, this is the year that I did that, right? So I think sometimes just having that one big goal is really important. Another focus for me is having more fun, scheduling that. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I like to work. And so if given the opportunity, like, my days just expand to fill, and I do a lot of work. And so that is one thing that I've got to schedule it, right? What's another one here? Discipline with time and energy, learn from fewer people. So this is something that will probably be a bit challenging, because that means I really have to, like, I've started to unsubscribe. I've started to stop buying books. I've started to really kind of say, like, who are people that have been at this for a long time and that I really want to learn from. And I'll give you a good example. So Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, but he's got a couple of other amazing books. And if you go on either Audible or eBay, you can find some of these, what do you call it? Some of the things that he's kind of created in the past. And I tell you, like, like, he would be almost like the modern or the original Tony Robbins, right? In terms of personal development and whatnot. And so I'm going really deep on some of the things that I'm learning from him. Also people like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett. Anyways, so I'm limiting it down to just a handful and going much deeper versus, here's 50 books, try to read lots, and just getting kind of overwhelmed and confused and actually not taking any action. So those are, let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to share on that front. I think that those were the big ones. So yeah, and I mean, I've got a couple of resources here that I thought I would share with you if you're interested in terms of just thinking about how you're going to approach 2023, right? And I started this back in November when I was in Palm Springs, and maybe even earlier in October, but I've really started to kind of go deep over the past 3 weeks when I've had a little bit more time. Things start to slow down a little bit. And so some of those resources, the Napoleon Hill, I think it's called his master course. You can find it on Audible. It's awesome. Rob Dyrdek, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's done a couple of great interviews. He has a podcast, although I find when he's interviewed, I get a lot more value out of it. And then Tom Bilyeu is another guy that I'm following. So those are like three people that I feel are just very sincere, genuine. I like kind of their philosophy, their approach, and doesn't mean that everything that I learn from them is going to be implemented, but certainly some of it will be. And yeah, and I guess going into 2023, some of the things that I'm going to focus less on, like the tactical, like here's how to, like how to invest in commercial real estate. I'm going to share more on what I'm doing and what I'm seeing is working and what isn't, right? And part of that journey will be obviously having interesting interviews and conversations with people, maybe more business owners. So I don't know. I think I'm looking forward to it. It may work for some people, it may not. But at the end of the day, I think, it's easy to get into a routine. And for me, I am very routine driven. And so I'm trying to put a little bit more variety. Okay. I guess that's probably the best way to put it, and switch it up a little bit and just see what works. Right. And who knows? I'm sure some will stick, some won't, but at the end of the day, I won't know until I try. And I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you stick with me on this journey. And like I said, always, if you have questions or ideas or thoughts and you want to share it with me, by all means, go to my website, shanemelanson.com, send me your message, and I'll do my best to answer them on upcoming episodes. So that's it. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I may try to get one more in before the end of the new year, but if not, we'll see you in 2023. Bye for now.